Hello, Spry English learners. I'm Emmy, and welcome to another deep dive. In our main episode, Kevin, Sunny, Lily, and I visited the pharmacy and practiced real-life English conversations. But today, we're going deeper. We're diving beneath the surface to discover the vocabulary, expressions, and hidden meanings that make English sound natural and easy to understand. Together, we'll explore useful pharmacy vocabulary, everyday phrases, why native speakers say things the way they do, listening tips, and real-life examples to help you speak English with confidence. Think of this episode as an underwater treasure hunt for English learners. And don't worry, you don't need an oxygen tank. Just bring your curiosity and your smile. So put on your imaginary diving mask, take a deep breath, and let's dive into English together. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Spry English, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new adventure. Ready? Let's dive in.
If you wanted to teach an adult how to buy a cold medicine in a foreign language,
Right.
the absolute last thing you should probably do is talk about a dog eating socks.
Yeah, you would think so.
Right. I mean, it sounds crazy. Yet, in one of the most effective linguistic transcripts we've reviewed recently, that is exactly what happened.
It really is.
So today, we are exploring the architecture of how to teach complex things simply, without triggering that massive frustration that usually accompanies learning a brand new skill.
Absolutely.
And our source material for this deep dive is a transcript from a beginner-level English learning program. It's an A1 to A2 level lesson from a channel called Spry English.
Yeah, the lesson is titled At the Pharmacy.
Exactly. And the mission of our deep dive today isn't just to, review the English pharmacy phrases themselves.
Well, no.
Right. We're going to reverse engineer the hidden techniques they use to teach adults from scratch without totally overwhelming them. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, because on paper, this transcript really just looks like light entertainment. I mean, it features two human hosts, Emmy and Kevin.
Right.
And they're navigating this standard trip to a pharmacy because Emmy is feeling sick. But they're accompanied by a dog named Sunny and a cat named Lily.
Which is just so bizarre for a language lesson. We have to start with this cast of characters because right away the script just totally abandons that traditional, sterile teacher-student dynamic.
Completely.
Like, Emmy has a headache, a sore throat, and a slight fever, and Kevin is her guy.
Right, he's kind of helping her out.
Yeah. But then Sunny the dog is making these sad puppy sounds in the background, and Emmy actually calls him a doctor dog.
Yeah.
And later, Sunny loudly sneezes, which prompts Kevin to reveal that the last time Sunny was sick, he literally ate Kevin's socks after taking his medicine.
Which is just such a funny detail.
It is. And then there's Lily the cat who, jumps on the table demanding vitamins.
Right.
And later she sneaks into Kevin's bag to try and buy cat snacks at the pharmacist's counter.
What's fascinating here is why these animals are actually in a beginner English lesson to begin with.
Okay, yeah, why are they?
Well, the inclusion of these animals is a highly sophisticated psychological tool. It's designed to manipulate the learner's brain chemistry, basically.
Wait, really? Brain chemistry?
Yeah, absolutely. In linguistics, there is this concept known as the affective filter.
Okay.
See, learning a new language as an adult is inherently traumatic to the ego. I mean, you are stripped of your vocabulary, your nuance.
Your intelligence, honestly.
Exactly. You feel like an infant. And that vulnerability causes your cortisol levels to just spike.
Oh, wow. So you're stressed.
Super stressed. And when cortisol is high, the affective filter goes up. The amygdala essentially blocks the hippocampus from forming new memories.
So the brain literally perceives the language task as a threat.
Yes, it goes straight into defense mode.
Wow. So the goal of the script, then, is to lower that defense mechanism. You inject absurdity into the situation, a sneezing dog and a snack-obsessed cat. It forces the listener to break that tension.
Exactly. Because if they are smiling or, just bewildered by a cat hiding in a bag.
They aren't dwelling on their anxiety about misunderstanding the grammar.
Exactly. The cortisol drops.
You know what that reminds me of? It's like hiding pureed vegetables in a kid's meal.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. Like you blend up the broccoli and you hide it inside this rich macaroni and cheese sauce. In this script, The goofy narrative is the cheese sauce.
Yeah.
It alters the environment, making the grammar rules, the broccoli, just so much easier to swallow.
The humor is essentially the delivery mechanism. It changes the chemical state of the brain from defensive to receptive.
But wait, I have to challenge this premise for a second.
Sure, go ahead.
If the ultimate goal of a beginner lesson is keeping the cognitive load as low as possible, doesn't introducing random, highly specific phrases about cat snacks violate that exact principle?
It seems like it would, right?
Yeah. I mean, if I am trying to learn survival English, spending mental energy deciphering the phrase, she wanted by cat snacks, seems like a total distraction.
Right.
Aren't we just cluttering the learner's working memory with useless junk instead of focusing on the actual medical vocabulary?
It definitely seems counterintuitive,
Okay.
but cognitive science actually shows it achieves the exact opposite.
Really? How so?
Well, human memory is heavily reliant on emotion and novelty. Psychologists call it the von Restorff effect or the isolation effect.
The isolation effect. Okay.
Yeah. Basically, information that stands out like a sore thumb is remembered longer.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right. So if a script just gives you a sterile list of sentences about purchasing aspirin, your brain categorizes it as mundane.
And just discards it.
Exactly. Discards it within the hour. But by attaching the target vocabulary, words like medicine, pharmacist, and sick to, a bizarre, highly visual anomaly, like a dog eating socks.
You create a vivid mental anchor.
Yes. The weirdness doesn't clutter the memory. It actually builds a stronger scaffolding for those target words to cling to.
So the weirdness is the hook that hangs the coat.
I love that. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, that makes total sense. But simply being relaxed and, having a few visual anchors doesn't equate to functional fluency.
No, it doesn't.
Right. So once the pets have lowered the listener's guard, the script has to actually transition into real instruction. How does it bridge that gap between being entertained by a cat and actually learning how to survive a medical transaction?
It does so through incredibly rigid, predictable architecture.
Okay.
The pacing shifts immediately into a chronological progression of a transaction. So the lesson moves from Chapter 1, feeling sick, into Chapter 2, go to the pharmacy.
Right.
And then into Chapter 3, asking questions.
Right.
And the vocabulary introduced is just relentlessly functional.
Right, because Kevin acts as the pharmacist.
Yeah.
He asks Emmy if she needs tablets or syrup. She chooses tablets. He asks if she has any allergies. She says no. And then they cover the dosage, which is 1 tablet 2 times a day, the timing, which is after food, and the cost, which is $8.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of language learning, at an A1 to A2 level, language is purely survival. It's a transaction.
Yeah, here's where it gets really interesting. Because they aren't teaching abstract conjugations here.
No, not at all.
They are teaching you how to survive being sick in a foreign country, which is arguably one of the most terrifying scenarios a traveler can ever face.
Oh, absolutely. The anxiety comes from the unpredictability of the interaction.
Yes. You might rehearse how to say, headache medicine, please, in your hotel room. But the terror hits when the pharmacist responds with some rapid-fire follow-up question you didn't prepare for.
And the script addresses that exact point of friction. It anticipates the entire interaction from both sides of the counter.
Right.
So it isn't just teaching Emmy what to say. It is actively constructing a mental template of what the learner should expect to hear. Yeah, in cognitive psychology, this is called building a schema. It is basically a mental flowchart.
A mental flowchart. Okay, so like problem, format of medicine, allergies, dosage, timing, cost.
Exactly. And it limits the variables at every node of that flowchart to prevent cognitive overload.
Right. It's tablets versus syrup.
Yeah.
Before food versus after food. By keeping the options binary, the listener's working memory, which, can only hold a few items at a time, isn't totally overwhelmed by a massive catalog of medical terminology.
Exactly. And notice the strategic placement of the absurdity within this highly structured transaction.
Oh, right, because the pharmacist asks about allergies, Emmy confirms she doesn't have any.
And right at the peak of this dense educational exchange, Sunny the dog sneezes loudly.
Yes, it punctures the academic tension.
Completely.
Yeah.
The script is using the dog to reset the listener's attention span.
Just when the transaction threatens to feel like a boring textbook, the absurdity pulls the learner back into the narrative.
Right.
But, hearing a structured transaction once, even a funny one, doesn't guarantee retention.
Definitely not.
Right. If the video ended after Chapter 3, the illusion of competence would just take over. The learner might feel like they understand the words because they followed the funny story.
Right, but active recall is a completely different mechanism.
Exactly. So how does the script force the listener to actually retain the vocabulary?
It forces retrieval by abruptly changing the format.
Okay.
Yeah, in Chapter 4, the narrative is completely suspended. The script isolates 6 useful phrases for direct repetition.
Oh, right. Emmy and Kevin go back and forth.
Yeah, Emmy states, "I have a headache," and Kevin prompts her to repeat it.
They isolate these purely functional sentences like, my throat hurts, or how often should I take this, and I'm allergic to this medicine.
Exactly. The context is totally stripped away to focus purely on the mechanical pronunciation of the language.
And then the script takes it a step further in Chapter 5, right, with that mini quiz. It sets up multiple choice questions, testing both the narrative and the vocabulary.
Right.
Like, they ask what problem Emmy has, offering options like a broken arm, a headache and sore throat, or a stomach ache.
Yeah, and they test the definition of after food, asking if it means before eating, while sleeping, or after eating.
They even test the narrative details, like asking who hid inside Kevin's bag.
Which is brilliant. Testing the narrative detail about the bag is a clever way to reward the listener for holistic attention.
Right.
But the underlying mechanics of this quiz are what make it truly effective.
How so?
Well, within a 2-minute window, the script demands the listener switch between different cognitive processes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Asking about Emmy's symptoms tests, listening comprehension and recall. Asking for the definition of after-food tests, direct vocabulary translation.
So it forces the brain to access the same information through completely different neural pathways.
Exactly.
You know, what stands out when looking at the transcript for this quiz section is the absolute absence of new information.
Yes, that is key.
There are no trick questions containing vocabulary the listener hasn't encountered in the previous chapters. The parameters are strictly confined to what was just taught.
Which is crucial because introducing new vocabulary during a testing phase is a very common pedagogical error.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it triggers that stress response we discussed earlier.
The cortisol spike.
Right. The effective filter goes back up, and the pathway you were trying to build gets disrupted by anxiety.
Oh, wow.
So by restricting the quiz to known variables, the script is deepening the groove of the neural pathway. It builds confidence through successful retrieval.
So what does this all mean when we hit Chapter 6? Because that chapter concludes the lesson with a fast role play.
Right.
Emmy and Kevin run through the exact same pharmacy dialogue, but at a natural, rapid speaking speed.
Yeah, full speed.
I have to push back on the utility of this, honestly. If the listener has just successfully completed a quiz, proving they know the definitions and the grammar, making them sit through a fast version of the same conversation just feels like busy work. I mean, they already passed the test. Doesn't this redundancy risk just totally boring the learner?
I get why you'd think that. It would be redundant if it were testing the same cognitive skill. But it isn't.
It's not.
No. See, the repetition and the quiz were designed to test semantic knowledge.
Okay.
Meaning,
Yeah.
do you understand what these words actually mean? The fast role play, on the other hand, tests procedural fluency.
Procedural fluency.
Right. It asks, can you process these words at the speed of real-life human interaction? Because semantic knowledge is useless if it takes you 30 seconds to translate a pharmacist's question in your head.
Ah, the distinction between accuracy and speed.
Exactly.
You know, it reminds me of the process of mounting a stage play.
Oh, like that.
Yeah, when actors first get a script, they do a table read. Everyone just sits around absorbing the story and understanding the narrative arc.
Right.
That perfectly mirrors the first 3 chapters with the pets. The listener is just taking in the plot.
Yeah, lowering the filter.
Exactly. Then the actors go home and drill their lines in isolation, really testing their memory. That's the useful phrases and the mini quiz.
Yes. And following that analogy, an actor cannot walk onto the stage on opening night having only drilled their lines in their living room.
No, that would be a disaster.
Right. They need the dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
They have to combine the memorized lines with the blocking, the props, and the completely unpredictable timing of their scene partner.
Right. So the fast role play is that dress rehearsal.
Exactly. It integrates the isolated vocabulary back into the chaotic rhythm of a real-time conversation.
And crucially, right at the end of that fast-paced dress rehearsal, the script brings Sunny the dog back for one final moment.
Oh, yeah.
Right. To remind Emmy to, quote, drink water, too.
Yes.
It perfectly closes a loop, returning the listener to that safe, playful environment just as the cognitive demand reaches its peak.
which proves that the structure isn't an accident. The progression from table read to line drill to dress rehearsal is meticulously planned to build supreme confidence in the learner.
Yeah.
They have processed the exact same core information in 3 completely different formats: as a narrative, as an analytical test, and as a practical application.
Which brings us to the broader implications of this deep dive.
Right.
We started by looking at a seemingly simple video about a dog and a cat at a pharmacy. But underneath that accessible surface is a highly engineered, precision educational blueprint.
It really is.
It leverages narrative absurdity to manipulate brain chemistry and lower cortisol. It anticipates real-world friction by building those binary mental schemas.
Yeah.
And it solidifies the learning through multi-format forced retrieval, prioritizing both accuracy and fluency.
And the mechanics of this Spry English lesson are universal. I mean, the underlying cognitive principles apply whether you are teaching an adult a foreign language, explaining a new software architecture to an engineering team, or just onboarding a new employee.
Wow.
The human brain's requirements for absorbing complex information do not change based on the prestige of the subject matter.
And that is the ultimate takeaway for you listening to this deep dive. You can actually steal this exact blueprint for your own communication.
Absolutely.
Define a clear, relatable problem. Inject a little absurdity or self-deprecation to lower the effective filter of your audience.
Right.
Anticipate the follow-up questions to build a mental schema. And then force active retrieval by presenting the same core information through narrative, analytical, and practical lenses.
Because when you structure information to work with the brain's natural chemistry rather than fighting against it, the resistance to learning just evaporates.
Which leaves us with a final thought to consider as we wrap up today. We've spent this entire analysis proving that absurdity, like a cat attempting to buy snacks at a pharmacy counter, is scientifically effective at helping adults absorb complex, intimidating information.
Yeah, it works.
We know that playfulness lowers anxiety and builds stronger memory anchors. So why is it that in our professional lives, we insist on stripping all of that functional absurdity out of our communication?
It's a great question.
Imagine what would happen to retention rates if the next dense, sleep-inducing corporate compliance manual you had to read featured a narrative about a sock-eating dog.
I'd probably actually read it.
Right. I guarantee you wouldn't forget the core policies. Think about it. We'll see you next time.
Wonderful job, everyone. Today, we took a deep dive into the language from our At the Pharmacy episode and uncovered many useful expressions and ideas. I hope you now understand the conversation even better and feel more confident using English in real life. Remember, learning English isn't about memorizing everything at once. It's about exploring, practicing, and enjoying the journey, one conversation at a time. And just like divers discover treasures under the sea, English learners discover treasures in words, phrases, and everyday situations. Thank you for joining me on today's deep dive. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to Spry English, and share this video with a friend who's learning English too. Turn on notifications so you never miss our next adventure. And tell me in the comments, which phrase or expression was your favorite today? Until next time, keep learning, keep smiling, and keep diving deeper into English. Bye, everyone.